Hello and welcome to this product rundown with Jump Studios. Today we're going to be going over WeGlot, what it is, and how you can integrate WeGlot with your Glide applications. So to begin, just a brief overview of WeGlot. WeGlot is a great machine translation service that allows you to embed translations in up to over 50 languages, all done automatically for you without the need of getting a translator or creating multiple versions of a website. All it takes is using its service at fairly affordable rates, and links to the WeGlot service where it explains more about it in detail will be in the comments below. So I've advocate for WeGlot whenever you need to run machine translations on a website. It has pretty good quality from what I've seen in the past, and I personally use it now on different projects, and I can fully endorse that it's a service that you can use to create multi-language versions of your application or website, all done fairly easily and simply at an affordable price. So now here we're going to be going through WeGlot and how you can use it in your Glide applications. This isn't an official release for WeGlot. Glide applications are not supported by WeGlot currently, and WeGlot in and of itself is not officially supported by Glide. So this really is a beta release or a beta integration. But hopefully, after some time, we'll see more advancement in the actual official integrations of the service. So first, let's go through an example of what a translation would look like with here a Glide application for a wine expo. So here you can see that it's an application with different tabs for information on different speakers, sessions, and about the event itself. And if I click into one of these options, let's say I go into the speaker profile for Beatrice, I can see a description as well as the session that Beatrice is going to be speaking in and its location. If I click in, I'd be able to see more information about the session, the date and time, as well as its location. As I go through different tabs, I'll be able to see different speakers and different sessions, and also more information of the venue as well as who's hosting the event. Now, if I wanted to provide this application in another language, normally what I would have to do is either create a completely separate Glide app done in the other language, or create different components that would turn on or off depending on the language that's required. Now here with WeGlot and machine translation, there's another version of this application completely translated automatically into, in this case, Spanish, where now if I do the same things, like I go into the speaker profile and I scroll through, I can see that all of the content down below has been translated, and it's been translated automatically. So I don't actually have to go in and try and figure out what the appropriate translation would be, or create different components or a separate application to house the separate language. Now, the way this works is by pointing the application, the Glide application, to the WeGlot service. And to do that, you do need to set up a custom domain for your Glide app. And to set up a custom domain, you will need to have a paid version. You can go from the lowest starter plan, but it is important that you have your own domain, something that you have access to, as well as a paid plan so that you can actually set up a custom domain. So next we'll be going through how you can actually set up the WeGlot service, both with Glide and then WeGlot. All right, so here we have a Glide application that we can use for the purposes of this demo, which is a fairly simple application that allows members of this company, Rocket Labs, to meet their teammates, where they can go in and see their colleagues, who they're working with, get to know them a little bit more, see who they're reporting to, the office that they're in, their email, if they manage someone, and as well their favorite movie with different offices set up here. Now, if I go into the actual Glide builder, I can see this application here where there are no special components. It's all being created in one language, in this case English. There are no visibility conditions, for example, so the components as we have them have just been designed for use in one language. The only difference here is that I do have a custom domain set up. So once you publish your application, you can set up a custom domain if you are on a paid plan. And in this case, I've got this domain layup.work enabled. If you need any help with setting up a domain, either post in the comments below or take a look at the great Glide documentation that they have that makes it fairly easy to go through and create or point a domain. So now that we have our Glide application set up, I'm going to go into WeGlot. So once you have an account created, you'll be redirected to this page. Or if you already have a WeGlot account and you're already using it, then you can simply create a new project and come over to this page. So I'll just give it a project name of WeGlot demo. And then for the website technology, I'm going to select other because Glide is not in the drop-down list. Then I'll hit next. And then I will proceed with the setup instructions. For the most part, the setup is fairly straightforward, though WeGlot does have some great videos and documentation where you can go through and see how exactly you would set up a domain. So I'm just going to go here and put in the domain of the URL that we already have. So that's layup.work. And the application is originally in English, so I'll select English. And for now, I want to translate the application into French. So I'll press next. And then I will give it a subdomain. So in this case, I'll just do FR for French. Normally this does auto-populate, but sometimes you'll find that you have the option of creating it on your own. Next, you will have to set up this domain in your DNS so that it points to this value. You might find that if you click next here that it won't actually do anything if you don't. So what I would recommend is just going into your DNS with whatever host you're using and then add in the subdomain now. So the CNAME record, in our case it's fr websites.weglot.com. Exactly as you would find here. So you could just copy this and put it into the DNS. I'll hit next. And then I'll let the subdomain be validated. Because of the way that the configuration works, we don't actually have to do anything else. We just have to wait until everything is validated, and we will come back to it once everything is done. It can take up to 24 hours as it says, but normally I find that it's a lot quicker. Alrighty, so we'll be back to it once this is ready. Okay, so now that we've validated our subdomain, we're now on the main dashboard. So the main dashboard is where you would go if you wanted to change any settings, if you wanted to see how many words you were using, or if you wanted to manually review certain words. So now that we've got the domain configured, there is a change that we need to do. So first we're going to go up into settings, Then we are going to go into app settings, and then we are going to turn on dynamic elements. I've already done it here, but just to show you how that would look like, is I would press add dynamic, then I would put in body for the selector, and if I wanted to, I would select a description. Turning on dynamic is a requirement for making sure that Glide applications can be translated with WeGlot, and it's just so that the WeGlot service knows that it needs to go in and change all of what is being shown in the application. So once that has been set up, if I went to fr.layup.work, I would see this. So I'm just going to refresh here. So I would see that all of the text has been translated. Even the text here in this web abulator would be translated. If I go in, I can see that the labels, search bar, the employees themselves, including their titles, all of this has been translated, including personal profiles and the various different employee manager labels. So everything that I would need, everything that I would expect to be translated has been translated all automatically. Now there are times where you will have hard-coded images or videos in a certain language. So in this case here I have Rocket Labs in English. If I wanted to change this to French, I can also do that in the WeGlot service manually. So to do that, I would go back to the dashboard and I would go into translations and I would select my translation. From here, I can scroll all the way down to the bottom to add in a media translation. So here all I want to do is I want to change this image so that there's a French title to it so that it matches the rest of the French application. To find the image, I would simply inspect it. Okay. I would simply inspect it, and then I would go and find the link, and I would copy the link address. Then all I need to do is go back here into WeGlot. And now I've got the link to the English image. To add in the French image, I would just go to the link that I have for the French asset. In this case, also stored in Cloudinary. I'll just copy the link here and then put it here for French and then add. So now if I go back, I'll see that this Rocket Labs image is going to be translated to this French translation of Rocket Labs. So if I go back into the application and I refresh it, I'll find that the media has been translated. So again, really useful if you have any hard-coded videos or images that would also need to be translated into the language of your choosing. So this has been a quick demo of WeGlot being used on Glide applications. It's a great way of translating your apps to make them more accessible or to tailor them to different markets. But just a reminder again that this solution is in beta and not officially supported, at least for the time being. So as you're playing around, if you notice any discrepancies, please feel free to write them into the comments below or send me a quick message or reaching out to WeGlot support. See you in the next one.